Commission has already introduced multi-year tariffs, and the tariffs have been announced for the next 5 years. The petition has been filed for approval of truing up of the costs incurred during the financial year 2024-25. So we would be focusing on basically the power purchase cost, the O&M costs, the employee costs and so on, and also the controllable and uncontrollable costs, the T&D losses and so on. So the department would first make a presentation on what was approved for the year 24-25 in terms of costs and in terms of units to be purchased and T&D losses, and what have they achieved, and then we will have your comments on that. So I would request the Chief Engineer or his nominee to make a brief presentation, and then the forum will be open for discussion. Thank you.
A very good morning to you all. Respected Yes. A very good morning to you all.
Good morning.
Respected Honorable Chairperson and members of the JERC, esteemed stakeholders, members of the consumer forums, members of the media, my colleagues and my beloved consumers. On behalf of Electricity Department, Government of Goa, I express my sincere gratitude to the Honorable Commission for convening this true-up petition, approving it. What I mean to say is, for having this hearing today for the petition number 163/2026 for the true-up. As Honorable Chairperson has already informed, this is not a tariff petition, it is a true-up where we do reconciliation of all the values, figures which were approved during the tariff year of 2024-25, where all the financial parameters, the expenses for the employees, power purchase costs, general and administrative costs, and all other costs which were approved and which are being audited by CAG, subject to prudent check by the Honorable Commission. So I am here to present the true-up petition number 163/2026, true-up for financial year 2024-25. You all are aware power scenario of Goa. This we have been repeating all the time, but it's my duty and responsibility to explain to the people of Goa. We are a importing state. 90% of the power we are importing from NTPC, NPCIL and other vendors which are available with the competitive bidding. Most of the power is coming from the allocated share of Central Generating Station. Captive power plants, CPPs within state, like we have Vedanta and we have another plant, small, but it's a very small quantum, I would say. Short-term power procurement from market, we have an India Energy Exchange wherein competitive bidding happens, transparency is there, and whatever power demand and whatever is the gap based on our schedule, we procure it from the market. We have traders for bilateral, especially during March, April, May, when the power demand increases by almost 25 to 30%, we normally go for bilateral agreements. Banking arrangement, this is to happen in big quantum, maybe 3 to 4 years back. But these days, the power demand of Goa has increased by 10 to 12%, though we cannot reflect it in terms of figures because power generation also has increased. But overall, if you see, in terms of power consumption, there is a growth of 10 to 12%. As you are aware, the power is wheeled through western and the southern. I think this is the only state where more than 90% of power is wheeled through interstate lines. This is a very big challenge for us. We do not have our local generation, which we require additional efforts for the reliability and quality and to provide an uninterrupted power supply in absence of the local generation. For the year 2024-25, we had more than 7.23 consumers. We have served more than 7,23,000 consumers in the year 2024-25. With a total sales of 4,970.28 million units, almost 5,000 million units. This is the actual figures of sales. Our peak demand, what was recorded, was 815 megawatt, and this was in the month of March 2025. These are the states from where the power is procured through interstate line: Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Telangana. We have a firm allocation of 533.96 with unallocated capacity of 116 megawatt. With a total power sourced from different states is 650.02 megawatt. Here we should try to see, we have a firm allocation of 533.96, wherein if you see our peak demand is 815. Almost, if you see, gap of 300. So 300 megawatt of power is sourced from renewable energy, from traders, from IX. And this gap is more during the peak hours. If you see, the average power will be less than 600 megawatt. These are the renewable energy sources. We have certain obligations. Government of India and the whole world is worried about the climate change. They are worried about our planet, and we all have a obligation towards it, so that the power which is generated and consumed by our state from a thermal power station, which is highly polluting and which is one of the critical factor for the climate change. So there is an obligation for the state to buy renewable powers. So renewable power, if you see, Solar Energy Corporation of India, we have around 25 megawatt of solar. From NTPC Vidyut Viagar Nigam Limited, 6 megawatt. Bilateral trade short term 50 megawatt. So around 81 megawatt we have from solar. From wind we have 2 long term power purchase agreement for 25 years from SECI. SECI Wind Tranche 2 and SECI Wind Tranche 4. We have a unique power coming from wind, hydro. Sorry, I mean to say hybrid. It's a unit, where we have signed. We were the first state to sign this agreement. 150 megawatt combining solar, wind, battery energy storage system. That is 150 megawatt. We have a bilateral wind and hydro for 100 megawatt. So we have additional around 350 megawatt of renewable power coming to our state. Within state generation is a very small. Vedanta 1 and Vedanta 2, we have around 17 megawatt. Goa Sponge and Power is 2 megawatt. Now this power, though it looks like 20 megawatt, what we get is hardly 3 to 4 megawatt. After fulfilling their own consumption, whatever excess power is generated by these two companies, they feed it to the grid. Then we have a Hindustan Waste Treatment, 1.54 megawatt. Then Vasudha Waste Treatment Private Limited, 0.8 megawatt. And distributed renewable energies in the state, around 70.97 rooftop solar. Now we are coming to the actual part of today's discussion, that is to our petition for the financial year 2024-25. The Honorable Commission for the State of Goa UTs had notified the multi-year tariff, Regulation 2021 on 22nd March 2021. The entire calculations, the methodology of doing the various calculation of arriving at depreciation, for certain parameters, the expenses towards the A&G, administrative and general expenses, O&M cost is all done through this multi-year tariff regulations. So they are in line with the regulations, and as I said, this is a hearing for reconciliation of the approved figure by the Honorable Commissioner for the year 2024-25. The audited figures done by, verified by CAG, approved by CAG. Still, this is a discussion wherein public is given opportunity to check the figures, how we can improve on it if somebody has suggestion. Subject to prudent check, these are not the finals. Based on your suggestions and based on the checking of all the data then only the final figure will be arrived. But whatever be the gap, government of Goa has given a budgetary support letter to the Honorable Commissioner. This will not have any impact on the tariff. This is the breakup of how various categories, we have different kind of categories: domestic, commercial, industrial, agriculture, temporary, others. So total approved figures for the year 2024-25, when the tariff petition was filed and approved by the Honorable Commission, was 4,860.87 million units. What were the actual sales? Is 4,970.28. And how the different classes of consumers, how they are, having a, power consumption. Like you see, the highest is industry, 47.51% out of the 100%. This is the power is consumed by the industry. Second is the domestic, with commercial as a third. These are the various power what was being purchased, which was approved from various agencies, mostly are from the NTPC central agencies, and how the power cost has been incurred, how the cost on various vendors or various stations. So if you see, the major cost is for the NTPC and NPCI, almost 1,588.65 crores out of 2,557.91 crores. The second major component is on renewable power obligations. Right now, we have certain, as I have already mentioned, we have around 300 megawatt of firm power, long-term agreements. The balance, we go for short-term trading, bilateral agreements through IEX exchange to maintain to comply to the RPO, which is around 33%. So total cost, what we incurred on power purchase is 2,557.91 against 2,081.55 crores. This is how we have complied to the obligations of renewables. So this slide shows the renewable purchase obligation RPO for the year 2024-25. We were supposed to buy, our target was 1,486.11. We have done or completed 1,645.57. So we have gone for 9.4% extra, which will definitely get adjusted towards the next years. So there were if you see the previously there was some deficit. The deficit was around 143.37. This time there is a surplus. This is also an important slide. The efficiency of department can be seen through the losses. The total losses what were approved by the Honorable Commission was 7.95%. We have achieved 7.44%. We are putting a lot of efforts in terms of infrastructure by improving the operational efficiency, so that we can bring down these losses, so that we can have a better efficiency and lower power purchase cost. Power grid PGCI loss, which is the interstate lines, as I said, 90 or 95% of the power is coming through interstate lines. Hardly some 70 megawatt of power has been generated or distributed renewable energy, along with some private players accounting to almost 100 megawatt. So our losses which we approved were 4.02%. What we achieved is 3.91%. Capital expenditure. This is on more of the infrastructure what has been created in Goa for the last many years, but this cost was what we had submitted to the commission, which was approved 256.25 crores, and what we achieved is 1,415.17 crores. Now a lot of infrastructure in terms of underground cabling, substation, we have gone for GIS and digital substation because we have a space constraint. The load is increasing. We need to go for additional bays, additional transformers. So we have gone for a GIS technology there was a space constraint to go for this kind of additional infrastructure so that we can accommodate or we can supply the additional power needs of the state. How much we have capitalized means we have put the assets to use. Now if you see, what was submitted was 917.25 crores, but what approved was 406.25 crores. Though the capital expenditure is quite high than what is approved, but the capitalization is low. This is the question which will come in the minds of the people seeing this slide. This is because the statutory clearances, approvals which are required while laying of cables, the progress of the vendors, contractors, the payments made to them, which sometimes delays the work. More of, I would say, it is, even if you have a project of 30 to 40 crores, even in a small stretch, you are not able to lay because of certain complaints from the public or any other agency. The entire asset cannot be put in use. So therefore, the capitalization is lower than what is approved, though the capital expenditure is high.
So just one question here. You have spent approximately 1400 crores in the capital expenditure.
Yes,
I hope you display the list of works beyond a certain amount on your website for public consumption.
Yes, sir.
Would be there so that people can see that on your website also.
Yeah. So we will take this point and we will try to put the entire list, maybe after discussing with the Honorable Commission, the limit maybe more than a crore or maybe more than a 5 crore, and the progress and the percentage wise how much work has been completed.
Yeah, which could be updated on a monthly basis.
Yes, yeah. This is again another important slide for TUA, how the certain cost was approved and how we have performed and how the various expenses towards various heads has been incurred. If you see the cost of power, as I already mentioned in the previous slide separately, because the power purchase cost itself is around 80% of our expenses. The major cost is 2,557.91 as against 2081.55. Second major cost is O&M expenses, which includes R&M costs, expenses, employee cost and A&G expenses. So put together, it was approved was 489.94 and actually is 488.32 crores. In this O&M expenses, the major cost is of employee cost, which is 402 as compared to approved 414.84 crores. The depreciation which has been done based on certain regulations, which I already mentioned, MIT regulation, which came in the year 2021. Interest and finance charges, interest on capital, working capital, return on equity, interest on consumer security. These were the costs which was approved. If you can see the how we have performed and how the actual cost has come as against approved one. So total ARR, annual revenue requirement for the state was 2,763.93 and the actual expenditure is 3,221.14. If you remove the non-tariff and other income, which we normally get to maybe sale of scrap or to the infrastructure what has been used by other people, so the net ARR required for that year is 3,151.91, almost 3,151 crores as against 2,719.41 crores. The major difference is because of the cost of power purchase. Now, what the revenue cap, what was approved based on the sales, what we are going to get from by selling the power, and what are the various expenses for running the entire business of electricity. So the gap what was coming for the year 2024-25 was 122.04 crores. And after doing the actual expenses, the figures which have been audited by CHE, the gap what is coming is 181.70 crores. These are subject to prudent check by the Honorable Commission. But whatever may be the difference, this is not going to hit or impact the tariff for the consumers. As government has given a letter that whatever gap will be absorbed by the state of Goa. The final net gap won't be any cost to the consumers, and neither it will be carried forward for the future years.
So the the revenue is around 400 crores higher.
Pardon, sir?
The revenue
Yes, sir.
that was anticipated at almost 2600 crores, and the revenue is 2970, around 370 crore higher.
Yes, sir. So, as the power cost, I will not say power cost, the units was approved were less by the Honorable Commission. The units what
The
we have,
difference was only 2%, I think. In terms of MUs, it was only 2%. You can go back to the previous slides. Please. If you can go back. Here, one more slide. Here, let's see. MUs approved, this is purchase 2081 and 5450 and 5583. So the purchase was 100 MUs extra,
Yes, sir.
which is only 2%.
yeah. But sir, the cost also what was approved by.
No, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about revenues.
Yeah. So revenue will be depending on the
tariff.
Tariff, sir. Because
Ah.
finally cost has to be passed to the consumer.
Yeah.
By way of one is the fixed cost which is already available with us, which I can share. But some cost is variable, that is FPPC. So that is also quite high because the coal prices.
Okay.
Coal prices.
Got it, understood. FPPC, you have recovered.
So thank you very much.
So the extra gap is only 60 crores, but that will be borne by the government.
By the government.
There is no impact on tariff.
Yeah. We have welcome suggestions, objections. With the permission of Honorable Commission, I am here to reply to whatever objections or clarification required by the consumers, by the public, by the forums, or any such kind of clarification what are needed at this point of time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. We can start with the stakeholder consultation, sir. First name is Lorna Fernandez.
I just want a clarification because I did not see it. I just wanted a clarification because I did not see it. You put it all together in the. So,
Please hold it to your mouth.
yeah. About the employees who are dying, the compensation to them, I would like to have some clarification. If the department is paying it out of, it is included in the employee costs. Are you paying compensation to the workers of the electricity department as well as the contract operators? Just recently we had about 10 days ago, a worker of the contractor died because a pole fell on him. He was doing some work.
No, what
Just wanted to
compensation?
know
What compensation is done is for our regular employees.
Okay.
So
And
that
what happens to the contract employees when they?
that goes to the labor commission. Contractor has to pay whatever as per the legal.
So the department just washes their hand of their workers, contract workers.
The department has given a contract. When
Yes.
contract is given a turnkey project, it's the responsibility of the contractor to carry out the work with the proper safety and the statutory guidelines. So he is bound by certain laws and guidelines through labor commission or through the police department is there. Various departments are there. So that has been taken care, but it is the responsibility of the contractor.
Yeah, but we need to know, what is happening because after all they are workers. So, it is not very clear and I think you need to put this on the website. Also what you are paying, as a tribute to the people who have died working. Yeah, your own cases, So if you put it on the website, at least we will all know what is happening.
So what kind of information do you want to put
That
on?
a certain-
You can write and give it to the Labour Commission. We will comply to the requirements.
Sir, what is the issue here is every time a worker who dies when work is going on, it reflects on the department. We are hearing cases from the consumers as far as the Consumer Conciliation Committee. At the ground level, there are no engineers of the department monitoring what is going on, supervising the work. So what happens here, when we say it is the contractor and labor, etc., ultimately what the consumer sees is while this work was going on the department, 10 days back, pole has fallen, he has died. Now all those intricacies are different. See, I am raising it from the consumer confidence in the department. My submission is that the department needs to tie up the loose ends which are there and work out in this entire money that is being spent, how best this can be taken care of. Because the number of people who have died on electrocution, etc., if you take for the last 5 years, is pretty high for a small state like Goa. So this is just how
they can emphasize on the improved safety practices with the contractors. Maybe they could sensitize their contractors, have a workshop by experts and sensitize them about the better safety practices. But as far as the reply is concerned, he is legally correct. If they say the work is given to contract and then the responsibility of payment would lie in the contractor. However, there is another issue of, let's say, a member of public dies or let's say a cattle dies because of electrocution, then the responsibility falls on the department and then they pay. So there are two different issues, two distinct issues.
yes.
The issue raised earlier could be taken care of by a separate workshop and sensitization of the contractors, and maybe they can also rope in their labor department so that they can also come in and talk about the improved practices to be followed. Or the electrical inspector also, they can also chip in here.
Which is passed through to the consumers. It's completely different. That is the responsibility of the contractor. We will try to sensitize as sir says, but it is very difficult. You cannot say you keep a supervised to each and every location. Let's say a line work is happening for 3 kilometers. Now there will be multiple poles. So I cannot keep 50 people just to supervise. Then it is like as good as we are only executing the work. Anyway, I will
just clarify, sir. In the last 5 years, I personally have filed complaints, including one against the former chief engineer of the department, for carrying poles without following the proper procedure of using a special trailer truck. Okay. Now, when I spoke to the engineers, they said it is not factored in the budgeting of the transportation. So, my submission is basically what will happen is that as awareness builds up in Goa, what will happen tomorrow? There is a road accident. These poles are protruding. Supreme Court has passed an order. You cannot protrude those cement poles out of a truck. Now, I have given enough submissions to the department. What I am only trying to point out.
Your point is well taken.
Yeah,
There are amendments to various codes, and those latest amendments should be taken note of and factored into. And in case they have an impact on the cost, then those things will have to be worked into the tenders. Fine, the point is well noted.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Martin, will you like to add anything?
Yeah, my basic submission was in the petition. There were 2 points which the commission had requested the department to look at. One was on the issue of the rollout of the smart meters part of it. So I just wanted to clarify regarding there it says December 2025 in the petition, and next year it mentions there. How is this going to happen? Because right now the confusion in the mind of the consumer is, that smart meter implementation, if it is going to be for commercial, industry, whatever, I think that clarity needs to be there. That is one. Second thing I noticed on these strategic business units, some years ago in the commission's direction, and it was mentioned that at MAPSA specifically, they had pointed out as one of the places where it would be used as, converted as a strategic business unit. So I just wanted to know this, it's very generalized. Can we take one in North Goa district and one South Goa district where this actual strategic unit will be able to be seen, visibility of it. Because on paper it may mean many things, but actually how will it work in terms of performance and the overall this is. And the larger point I had was whether in the whole auditing that is done, whether there is any like you have shown rightly about reduction in distribution losses. In terms of the question of theft, now for example, we also have to control theft. And so in this financial, how much money we have been able to get by controlling theft, power theft. So can that be factored into the expense part of it? Because otherwise we are looking at finances and in terms of the common citizen, we still say that budgetary support is there. But budgetary support means what? It's taken from my pocket only. Government giving Mr. Steven in the department is still coming from my pocket. I can understand that. And the larger question I had raised earlier and I'm still raising, that issue of bunch cabling, because I don't see any effort by the department to kind of recover that money. See, as we move forward in the next 3-4 years, the drop will come for every year. But can we also see somewhere how the department is trying to control theft, recover money, and wherever like that bunch cabling, which was over 150 crores spent on it, which has been dismantled. You can see the dismantling going on. And finally, this underground cabling, lot of money, capitalization we have spoken of. So many cases we see that this cabling work is not happening properly. I foresee that this will result in losses to the department as the years go by. So can we tighten up there, and if sir can tell us how best this can be happened? Thank you.
So we will go through all the responses first, and so that the chief engineer could reply at the end, because they will be common issues.
Right.
So I hope he has taken note of these points, and you could reply at the end. We can have more questions, responses.
Next, Mr. Dilip Prabhu Desai.
We have the podium, please.
Look, I have to place these people. Pardon?
You could use the mic.
No, but I have to place this on something. I can't hold this. I don't do something because previous hearings there used to be a podium for the public.
Can somebody, our staff, help him to hold the paper?
No, that cannot be. I'll sit down here. It's good.
The mic.
Thank you. And so a written submission sort of thing, you could at the end you could hand it over.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for allowing me to speak. Well, I'll be submitting this written submission, and I'd just like to highlight the points. First of all, I would like to congratulate the police department, because in the past, doing up has been done for 3 or 4 years at a time, and there's been quite a backlog. So this time, I think it's a great thing that 2024-25 doing up is done now. It's good. But there are some points which I would like to raise. First of all, we feel, and I have vice president of the work party, we feel that the true-up mechanism is meant to address uncontrollable variations and not to retrospectively legitimize major deviations. So basically, first major deviation that I can see is the extraordinary escalation in the capital expenditure. 256.25 crores was approved. Now it is 1,415.717 crores, which is basically nearly 6 times. This petition does not provide any justification why this sort of capex was not, envisaged, and suddenly why it had to be done. Because at the time of tariff approval, if this was done, I don't know what the effect on the tariffs would have been. So is there some sort of cover-up going on? The second thing is, despite this unprecedented increase, intrastate T&D losses, which have been reduced, I agree, they have gone down from 7.95 to 7.44.
But is that commensurate with the expenditure done? Of course, I know that some part of this expenditure might have been done late in the year. So we'll come to know the results of this later. But still, it's something that one should do. Second thing is, power purchase cost has increased to 2557.91 from something like 2000 something. This is basically, we understand, because power has to be procured through short-term arrangements, power exchanges, traders, banking mechanism, whatever. But this petition also does not make it clear whether the long-term cheaper power or renewable sources were optimally utilized at that time. This is a very transient process, I understand. But I think there should have been some justification, because 2000 to 2500 is roughly 25% increase. Now the revenue gap, which has increased from 122 projected approved to 181, this is roughly 59 crores, which is nearly half. So projections were wrong by 50%. And the government stands up and absorbs this. Of course, like Mr. Patil said.
Just to clarify, this is what they have asked for. We still have to see.
Exactly.
Whether it's 180 or less. We still have to see that.
That all this is going through. So, at the time of tariff increase, when we were desperately asking the government in the past to absorb the revenue gaps so that people would pay lesser tariffs, there were various reasons given. And now suddenly, when the election department wants it, the government says yes. This is rather odd. Something that maybe not Mr. Stevens, but the government will have to look into.
The last part I did not understand. 50% less. What is the cost?
From 122, revenue gap approved was 122.
Okay.
And the revenue gap now is 182.
Okay.
50% increase. Then we have a major point would be a transparency deficit.
Good.
There are a lot of issues which are not clear. Like many aggregate figures have been shown. Scheme-wise capex breakup is not there. Feeder level loss data, maybe I'm asking a bit too much, but yes, I think it should be there. Source-wise power procurement rationale, why different sources were used at different times. These are not there. But regarding transparency, the one major thing that I feel should be addressed, this is not a fault of anybody's, this is a suggestion. We have so few people here. I myself became aware of this ad just yesterday. Of course, they have given in the papers as whatever. But I feel that next time, there is one document from the electricity department that everybody needs. It's the electricity bill. I suggest that next time the electricity department, in the cycle before the hearing, should put this notice on the electricity bill about the GRC. So every consumer who is a stakeholder in these proceedings gets to know of this hearing at home because he's going to pay the bill in any case. So just a suggestion I would like to make.
You see, the method of notifying the public is already there in the regulations.
Yes,
it's there.
that's
in
what
the
I said.
regulations.
Statutory-
And a clear
statutory-
21 days notice is given to everybody. There is ample opportunity. But anyway, whatever you're suggesting, maybe the department
I
can
Yeah,
have
get
said
we-
that
we normally-
statutory, they must have done it.
It could be a technical
This is
issue
just a
also.
suggestion.
We normally give a 21-day notice.
Yeah.
So it's not necessary. It may be possible that the previous bill may have been generated. So, but anyway,
If it's possible.
I think the department will examine on ways how to connect to public. Maybe if they have a system of SMSs, they could do that.
Social media can be.
We'll ask them to do this. Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
asking for this to be made.
But all good responses. Yes.
Revenue gap for 24-25 is proposed as nil because of the cover from the government. But this high capitalization which is on, and I have not fully understood why capitalization has been less and the capital expenditure has been more.
The
There must be
capital
certain reasons for
expenditure is the payments made for the works, And capitalization is the works which have been completed and put to use. So if the work is still ongoing, let's say a 5-kilometer underground cable is being laid, there would be periodic payments. But the work would be capitalized only when the entire 5-kilometer stretch is over. So let's say in a 5-kilometer stretch, a 50-meter work has got stuck up. It will not be capitalized. It will be capitalized only when the entire work is done. That's why there is a difference between capitalization and expenditure. But they will get a return on equity only on the part capitalized, which is within the limits of which is lower than what was prescribed.
Yes.
But anyway, we'll let the department
I
decide.
understand that, sir, but basically the capital expenditure is money going from my pocket. And if for some fault of some officer,
Absolutely, the
it's not
numbers
being capitalized.
should converge.
Yes.
What you are
That's
saying
what
is
I'm
right.
saying.
The numbers should converge.
It's not the government's money,
And-
it's not
yeah.
somebody's money, it's my money.
Correct.
That's the problem.
Right.
In addition to that, I mean, it's a very, the petition is a very meticulously compiled document. One small thing I would like to bring to your notice is that on line 3, page 26, after the table which starts the page, it's given that ED Goa submits that employee expenses as approved by the Honorable Commission was rupees 414.84 crore, whereas the actual expenditure is rupees 427.4 crore, which is an increase of 22 crore roughly. And it explains it as a resulting in decrease of 3.03% over approved cost.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
No, maybe it is a
Yeah, it's
clerical this thing. Here also
I know
it
that.
is lower.
But
Maybe-
I like to make a point.
yes. Thank you so much. That is
Yes. And then on page 39, as I said previously, the increase the revenue gap is 59.66 crores. This is basically because the actual revenue has increased by 372.83 crores, and purchases have gone up by 476.36 crores. So this difference is a difference of 104 crores. Now, I would like the commission to inquire into why this has happened. Why so much of why all the planning, all the figures, or whatever has been done, and this has not resulted in what actually should have happened. There is a big discrepancy. So I would like the commission to go into this part. The actual number of consumers given estimated has gone down by 25,000, which for a state like Goa is huge. Which doesn't mean that people who were expected to take connections by the department, like huge buildings coming up, are now consuming electricity without taking connections. Basically, is it theft going on? Which is something I think we should be looking at. And the last point is about the smart meters, which Mr. Martin has also raised. The actual installation of smart meter should begin in the month of December 25. I feel that there is not too much awareness in the public about what the smart meter actually is going to be. Because if the smart meter is something which the readings of which should reach some cell in the electricity department without it being actually physically seen, without accessibility, is that how smart the meter is going to be? If it is going to be that smart, and I don't know, why was there a sort of a mission by the electricity department in the past few months for people to bring their meters out in the open, make the meters accessible, where people have suffered costs, suffered even harassment at the hands of the local officers, that the meters should be brought out, otherwise connections would be disconnected. This has happened, and I know of at least one case where in an isolated bungalow, when the owner refused to shift his meter out, basically because along with the meter out, the the electricity department staff wanted the MCB or the MCCB to be also accessible at all times. Now, in an isolated area of Goa, there are no other people around. If you have your main MCB accessible, somebody might come in the middle of night, switch off your power supply. You wake up in the middle of the night inside, and you want to come out and switch on your power supply first thing. And then we say there is law and order situation. Some logic in this seems to be missing. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Rohan by Angli. Next is Mr. Durai Raj. Mr. Durai Raj. Next, Mr. Dilal.
Good morning, sir. I'm Gerard Dimalo, Chairman of Infrastructure Committee of GCCI. So, first of all, once again, I'd like to congratulate the department because of the timely submission, as was just pointed out by the previous speaker. Now, earlier, the truing up used to be done after 3 years and all, so they have brought the accounts up to date, which is a great thing. Secondly, they have managed to limit the T&D losses within the approved limits. That is also a good thing. Now, one thing we had also observed, the employee expenses shown, what the previous speaker also pointed out. Perhaps it's a typographical error, but it causes some confusion because the expenses are shown as 472 crores in the table as against actual of 414 crores, and that is actually an increase of 13.88%. But in the comment there, it is shown as 427. Instead of 472, it is shown as 427. And that again is an increase, but they have said it's a decrease. So there is some little confusion there which needs to be clarified. Then we have observed that there is a 2.44% increase in the quantum of power purchased. But the cost of power purchase was higher by 22.88%. So that is, quite a bit out. So obviously, power is being purchased at a higher cost. So that needs to be looked into. Probably managing peak power cost in terms, I know it's a long-term, managing it in terms of long-term is a challenging issue, but that needs to be looked into. And that also brings us to the point that, as even Chief Engineer said, we are totally importing all the power. So we need to look at some generation within the state, whether it be, whatever, suitable to the environment also. Even now, although people get scared of nuclear, but there is, there are new technologies which should be looked into, provided they are environmentally friendly.
So just a question, are you representing the industry or the consumers?
Industry.
Industry. Okay. So would you like to comment? You have commented on the timely submission of the accounts, but what about quality of power supply and the response? That also we need some feedback from you. And secondly, just wanted to know if you mentioned about the in-house in-the-state generation. Is rooftop solar being practiced here in the state?
Actually, rooftop solar is being practiced and it's been promoted for the domestic. But when it comes to industry, actually recently there has been a cap which has come that more than 500 kilowatts power, what is it? It's not permitted, no? Thank you.
Regarding rooftop solar, there is a cap of 500 kilowatt KWP which is not allowed above that in the net metering. So that if
Kilowatts is a sufficiently large number.
no, for industry it is
For industry, yes, it will be so, but has the industry installed up to 500 kilowatts?
Yeah, industry
They have.
Good morning, sir. My name is Sanjay Mulkar. I am the Director General of the Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I will just take forward what my colleagues have said. There's a very interesting slide if you saw, sir, of the total number of type of connections in the state. If you see, almost 50% are industrial and 16% are commercial. So you can see almost 70% of our power is being consumed by commercial entities, correct? And if you see the generation of power, as you rightly said, the solar power generation in the state is only 70 megawatts. And our consumption right is around 850 megawatts. So we're less than 10%. Now there's a target which was given to the state of 150 megawatts by last year, which has not happened. We are not even 50% of it. And my colleagues have rightly said that instead of targeting the general public for rooftop, if you can give that same advantage to the industry by removing this 500 kilowatt cap, then certainly your power generation will go up. I think we are 143 units negative in that list which you have given, which you have taken solar and wind energy from the other states. Okay. Now there are two conditions mentioned in this. Regarding I can go more than 500 kW provided we get a certificate from the electricity department that the grid will be stable. If I am right, there is right now there is one institute called Goan Institute of Management which are generating around 800 kW, but they are not getting the advantage of the net metering above 500, and others are in 300. A lot of industries are ready to put up solar farms, and if you do it, your generation of solar power will suddenly go up. So I request the commission to kindly take note of this.
So they are doing only solar or doing solar with storage also?
No storage. Sir.
No storage.
No storage. No
That
storage.
doesn't help him much.
BESS is
During daytime he's got sufficient power.
difficult and very expensive, so not high. My second limited point is, there was a column of non-tariff costs. In Goa, sir, we have a typical situation that electricity poles are also used for cables. That is, cables for TV cables and all those. And there are certain costs which come to it. And I think it was running in crores, if I am not mistaken, it was mentioned also. But nothing has been shown as recovered from these people in the non-tariff cost, if you see.
It does come as non-tariff income. It does come.
It is shown as blind. It is not, nothing is mentioned.
No, it will be there.
It will be there. Can we just check?
Yeah, 69 crores.
No, in the,
Look at number 9.
No, there was one.
Look at serial number 9.
Serial number 9.
2.24, sir. Page number 36 of 43.
What is
The
it?
petition.
Petition.
Non-tariff income from financial year. Wheeling charges, sales of print of desktop, open access, etc. 23.7 of the approved actual is nil.
So you are talking only for this, sir, is talking about only the cable what is down. So it is 2 crores something.
It's not mentioned, nil it is.
For cables?
Yeah, it's like maybe an error.
Clarify what is non-tariff and other income is.
Which page?
On page 37 it is there, 69.
Page number 37 of 43.
37.
Yes, 37.
Page number?
37.
37.
See down a little bit.
Yeah,
37 or 43.
The which table number, sir?
Same table contains.
Page number 37 of 43.
Unfortunately, miscellaneous receipt.
224.
Okay, miscellaneous receipt. Okay, and one more point, sir, is that government are taking this as the deficit gap, taking forward as nil. But in the same page in front, you have mentioned that the revenue gap of 196.7 crore arrived for financial year 24-25 shall be borne by the state government. So they are already bearing 196 crore. As my good friend Martin said, that 196 crore belongs to the public. So that cost will add up to the other costs. Yeah. So see, the main aim of the draw is to ascertain these figures are correct. Because based on these figures, we will be planning our solution. So if the figures are not correct, then the burden will end up in the consumer. In the next tariff petition, again the prices will go. So our concern is that these figures may be doubly verified, checked wherever there are corrections to be made so that the general public is not affected in the tariff petition. I thank you for the time given to me.
Regarding that solar net metering, there was a notification by the JRC earlier for the industry where solar either 500 kilowatt or the contract demand of the industry which is there, whichever is higher can be taken for net metering. But later on that notification was reversed and then came to the 500 kilowatt cap. So if that earlier notification can be restored, then the industry can go on with a major solar drive.
Next, Mr.
So when
Prakash.
we were talking about installation of solar, we were told that the land is scarce and costly in Goa. But here you are giving the impression that industries, they have land.
Yes, sir. There are
Rooftop.
This is also rooftop solar.
Rooftop. Okay.
Next, Mr. Prakash Lotilkar.
Hello. See, I had a single point. That is to see, every day at 6 a.m. in North Goa, we are having a break in power supply. For the last so many years. Now we are on national grid. And I don't know why they cannot give us a continuous power supply. We will be suffering for that. And everything is gets disrupted, you know. Even one interruption. And it is continuously going on for so many
For
years.
how long is the interruption? Is it for 1 hour, 2
1
hours?
or 2 minutes or so.
Just 1 or 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Switch
just
over.
There could be some technical issues
I
with
don't
the
know.
nearest substation.
Yeah, this is an interesting, since I think is the last I will answer. Mr. Lotlekar, I'll call him sir, he was working for my department earlier, sir. Now what has happened, sir, if you go back in 1970 or 80, that time having power for 10 hours also would have been a blessing. Which today 10 minutes we cannot afford. So that time planning, Mr. Lotlekar, what he did, sir, that you have to break the power and switch it to the other feeder. There is no automatic switching over from one source to other. Now, Lotlekar, if I had to plan that I would be for next generation, 3 generation, if I had to think how the system has to be, a scheme has to be designed, that would have been helpful.
But you could plan it now.
Yes, I'm coming, sir, coming to that. Now, if I cannot disrupt the entire substation and build it, because I have a current consumers to it. So I want to put bus couplers, automatically I can parallel the system and Mr. Lotlekar will not get any break. But to do that, again the land constraints, I need to keep the substation running, still try to be the best power. Still I am doing it, sir, but it will be slowly, it needs to be done. It cannot be done at just one time, sir. For that, Lotlekar will have to bear 3 months of no power.
shut down.
So these are technical things, sir, which should be taken care over a period. That's what
Maybe you can understand it with him after the meeting. It's a one-to-one issue.
Yeah, understood.
And settle it.
Sir, yeah, understood it.
All, the entire public will not need an answer to this. Okay. So in case there are no other speakers, you could provide the responses.
Thank you so much.
All out. Okay. Then you can provide the responses.
Yes.
And I would first like to compliment on the quality of responses from public here. It is good that people have read the documents, they have read the true up petitions, and have come here and made raised specific issues rather than general issues. This is found at rare places. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you. I was supposed to say what Honorable Chairperson has said. I appreciate and I really thanks because people have come prepared. But it's not easy. We are in this subject day and night. So for us it become easy. But since people have come, pointed out certain mistakes, maybe those mistakes have clarification. Not that those are mistakes. But there are some sort of clarification required. But you need to complement this because people have read it. And always there are prominent people who come here, give time, read it. So thank you for that. So I will start. Mr. Roland and Lorna, though many times they try to, be aggressive and try to point out certain issues of the department which helps my department to improve. But they are also trying to help my department so that public can understand what my department is going also through. Mr. Roland has said nicely, budgetary support is being given by the government, state, and it is from my pocket only. Same thing I am trying to tell everybody, the media, the consumers, simply do not ask rebates, reduction of power or what you call it, what Delhi gives, this many free, because you only need to pay it from other side. So that is what he has made a good point. So what you should demand is the efficiency, how we have to improve on efficiency, not directly asking to Delhi deta hai to 200 units, humko bhi de do. Please do not do that, it will make you paralyzed. Over a period, today Lotlekar is saying, do something that should have been done 20 years back or 30 years back. So if we give this temporary relief to you, your children or grandchildren will suffer. Okay. Because finally the cost has to be borne by the people of Goa only. So why not bear little bit now instead of keeping it a big chunk of money your children has to bear. Coming to smart metering, I want to be loud and very clear. Smart metering is a different kind of subject. If you touch it, politically also it get affected. There are few people come who object because of their political gains. But people of Goa should understand, smart metering gives lot of insights. It's very, very important. Smart metering, if you see Bihar, UP or any other state, do not compare it with what you see in the papers. We are already having electronic meters. So the meter will not record high, low, nothing. The meter will record same thing. But if you see other states, I don't want to name them, there the meters were electromagnetic or very old technology. So now when they go for smart metering, it is affecting them not because they are smart meters, because they are electronic meters at the first place, and then we call it smart because of the communication. So here the consumption will not increase because we are already having the best meters. It is only the communication between the consumers and me, between the consumer and your meter will improve, and you will come to know what is exactly happening to your meter. Just understand in this manner. You are roaming with a blood test. You're continuously diabetic. You can see cholesterol. You can see today. You can see it. If you have money, you will do a test after a year, and you will try to do rigorously. Try to change it because you fear my diabetes and my cholesterol is increased. And you will try to go exercise, control your diet, and improve it only for 3 months. Then you again forget. But if you can see continuously my diabetes is improving, you will do improvement every day. That is what smart metering is going to tell you. It is going to give you a consumption every 15 minutes the next day. Entire 24 hours consumption. What has happened? Your memories will be fresh. Yesterday how my consumption increased. I was not in my house only. So you can come and question us. Very next day. How many times the power has been disrupted? What is the voltage you got? So you become very, very powerful. We will be able to improve the losses. You will come to know what exactly is happening every day instead of coming to know after 45 days. So there are people who are coming and telling us smart meters, stop this. Please do not go by such kind of, because these are only for political gain, nothing. They are just trying to, it will affect the performance of the consumers, and smart metering will improve or reduce the cost. What I'm saying is, the cost of power might increase, but the number of units what you are consuming, you will definitely be able to control it. Dilip and Roland also spoke about the smart metering. Now smart metering will get away the metering cost, the billing cost, what we there is certain cost. So if you see all kind of cost, disconnection cost, connection cost, meter readers around 300 plus meter readers are there. There is delay, there is losses. I do not come to know exactly which coastal belt is increasing, which area is increasing at any point of time. I will be able to plan what Dilip was saying, why you are not planning the infrastructure. I will at once come to know one specific area of Goa is increasing. Why it is? I can always put some infrastructure there. It is very much required, it will help you. The challenge is how to execute, and it is with us. Therefore, we are trying to plan in such a manner. We have deployed smart meter on our feeders, DTCs and government consumer, where we are checking exactly what we need from this project can be fulfilled and achieved or not. Is working on it, whether it put a blame or not. Because many a time, if you are private players, you will try to at once absorb certain technology or will not do much, study on that. The moment you come to know there is some benefits, you do it. But many times it fails, but many a times, it gets benefited. But here one of this project has failed. I do not know what to say, whether to blame or what. Because that technology at that point of time, somebody thought it is much lower than underground cabling. Why not go for bunch cabling? But it has failed because, whenever there is a fault, you cannot trace the fault. This is something to do with technical things. The return path was not there and you couldn't trace the fault easily. So I don't want to go dirty. I wanted to, reply. Why is saying why the infrastructure cost is so high? You should understand. If there is no infrastructure also, political parties say there is no infrastructure, there is no power. Why I have not put up? Putting is also a problem. Not putting is also a problem. After putting so much infrastructure, if political parties in the assembly says power is interruption is there, but it has reduced also, everybody said. So we have put this infrastructure to improve the reliability and quality of power to the state of Goa. Sometimes we get certain funding from the central government. Sometimes, the finance department apply, that gets approved. So exactly I cannot say I will try to government changes. Government sometimes might say electricity is important. Sometimes they might say hospitals and road is important. So these calls, you should understand it is based on government and the requirement. So infrastructure is very much required. I would say electricity, without electricity, it is impossible to survive. Impossible, because as a chief engineer, I get calls from various people, youngsters to very, very old. And I can understand how important is quality of power required in today's context. So therefore, we have put a lot of infrastructure, as Mr. Lotlikar said, we are going for GIS stations, we are going for underground cable to make it better. He said, for 2-3 minutes it goes. It's much better than the other state. We are trying to improve that also, because right now I do not find solution to at once get rid of this problem, because it's a slow process. You need to put bus couplers, you need to dismantle things and go for a different technology. Maybe there will be seamless changing of from one feeder or one source to the other source based on the requirement. Let's say I come to know load at certain places increasing. So this feeder is about to trip. So I try to remove the load from this, I try to put it on the other feeder or to the other substation. So these are the technical requirements which at once we will not be able to improve, but we have a vision, we have a goal to gradually get rid of this without affecting big shutdowns and without affecting the quality of power. Capex envisaged and reason, I will give the reason. As sir said, there is a project which is coming from Karnataka. It was given in 2016. How many years? Almost 9 years. Now 2,000 crores were there. So they have spent almost 1,700 crores. The project cannot charge. How many? 9 years. That means the capital expenditure is now 1,700. Capitalization 0. So if you cannot put the asset in use, you cannot make it capitalization. Because substations are linked to the line, upstream lines. And lines, many a time we are not able to put it because of certain people go in court for for land issues, or people doesn't want to, because Goa is such that we are small area cannot be increased. But load is increasing, development is happening. Now land has become very critical. Many people say, no, you cannot touch because I cannot get my, they cannot construct a building, a house, vehicles cannot come. So all is constrained, because of which it gets delayed. And therefore capital expenditure becomes lower than the expenditure. 7.95 to 7.44% he was said. I will give the explanation. There is not a big this thing. It has improvements are there. And we are further trying to reduce the losses by way of smart metering. Mr. Gerald said, some other person also said, the power purchase what is approved by the commission is, today commission doesn't come to know what will be the power purchase cost for the next year. But commission, honorable commission and department knows what is my fixed cost and what is my cost as per the agreement. But there is one cost which neither honorable commission comes to know nor I comes to know. That is fuel cost. So there is a mechanism to recover the fuel cost by way of FPPCA, fuel and power cost adjustment. So what commission has approved is the fixed cost, and there is a provision separately. So there is no 22% increase, but there is increase because the power requirement during peak hours has increased, but that is not 22%. It will be hardly some 6 to 8%. There is FPPCA around 300 crores, which is not a part of that 2,000 crores. So if you cannot compare 2,558 to 2,041 crores, the gap is around 520 crores. So the gap will reduce to 160 to 170 crores. So what you are saying, 22% not. Scheme-wide projects, yes. Before
let me put it slightly differently here. I mean, see, these numbers are broadly estimates, and these are fixed about a year in advance. So as he said very rightly, we are aware of the fixed costs, but we don't know what the fuel cost would be. If you look at these numbers, he has given the power purchase from NTPC, from NPCIL. There is a variation there. Sometimes CRC also makes certain adjustments in the mid-year regarding the fixed costs. So they also have to be passed on. So the numbers which are earlier approved, they are not approved, they are based on certain estimates, and that is why there is a process of truing up. In the process of truing up, we see what are the costs which could be controlled, what which could not be controlled. So the costs which were not in the control of the department, they are allowed to be passed through. That which were in the control of the department, they are not allowed to be passed through. So these numbers were estimates fixed long back, and a couple of years later, we know the exact number, the price of coal, the price of nuclear power also, that comes in later.
So scheme-wise projects, we will definitely put it. Sources, he said, rationale, you should put the sources. The sources are always put in the website or in the petition everywhere. Notices on the bill is the call of the Honorable Commission. If you Honorable Commission allows, we can do. Capital as an answer, number of consumers reduced. Okay, number of consumers, Mr. Dilip was saying you should plan. I do not come to know. I can always factor in how the growth is happening. How much commercial establishment is going to come, how many domestic buildings are going to come, but they always change it. That is not in my control. But more or less, we try to plan in such a manner that we are able to plan for a higher number of consumers to be, which is going to increase as per the past history. Coming to Gerald also and some more people also, that 500 kilowatt cap, that cap is required in a larger interest of the Goa. Now he represents the industries, so definitely he has come to duty bound for industries. But when Honorable Chairperson told him, can you go for a battery energy storage cell, he said no. At once he said it's costly. So everybody is trying to put solar as a business model, not to care for Goa or to care for certain, as an obligation or as a business. So